There's a fine line between healthy competition and hiring a private investigator for a church potluck. Americans don't see that line. They pave right over it with a $10,000 lawnmower. What you're about to see are 101 pieces of evidence that in the USA, the only thing that matters is winning, especially when it doesn't matter at all. 1. The Great Christmas Light. Wars of suburban Denver turned a peaceful neighborhood into a battlefield when the Johnsons installed 17,000 LED lights on their house. Their neighbor Gary responded by buying 18,000 lights and a mechanical Santa that flipped pancakes. The HOA received 47 noise complaints and 3 restraining orders before Christmas morning. 2. Martha's apple pie looked perfect until someone discovered she'd been secretly sabotaging competitors' ovens at the county fair for 3 years. She loosened oven dials, hid ingredients, and once even released a cricket into Betty's blueberry cobbler. The scandal rocked the entire baking community, and Martha was banned from all dessert competitions statewide. 3. 2 grown men spent $4,000 each on fertilizer and growth hormones trying to grow the world's largest pumpkin in their backyards. When Jim's pumpkin measured 1 inch bigger, Dave accused him of steroid injections and demanded a drug test. The pumpkin. They actually drug tested a pumpkin. 4. The annual chili cook-off in Texas turned into a 3-year legal battle when contestants started hiring food scientists to develop secret formulas. Teams formed alliances, industrial espionage occurred, and someone attempted to poison their rivals' beans with ghost peppers. The winner was disqualified for using laboratory equipment. 5. Karen from accounting started World War III over the office Christmas cookie decorating contest by hiring a professional pastry chef. When her elaborate gingerbread village won first prize, 17 co-workers filed formal HR complaints claiming she violated the amateur-only rule. The company banned all future cookie competitions. 6. A suburban dad named Rick spent 8 months training for his neighborhood's annual lawn mowing competition. He practiced different patterns, bought a $1,500 mower, and studied grass growth charts. When he lost to his 70-year-old neighbor using a push mower, Rick filed a grievance with the city council. 7. The Great Scarecrow War of Oregon involved 2 farming families who escalated their annual contest until they were building mechanized, smoke-breathing monsters that terrified actual children. The final scarecrow required an engineering degree to operate and accidentally set a cornfield on fire during judging. 8. Linda turned the PTA bake sale into corporate warfare by secretly photographing other mothers' recipes and reverse engineering their brownies. She created detailed spreadsheets analyzing sugar ratios and hired her teenage son to spy on competitors. The school eventually banned Linda from all fundraising activities. 9. The neighborhood snowman building contest became so intense that families started stockpiling snow in their freezers during November. One dad built a snow fort around his creation and stood guard with a leaf blower to prevent sabotage. Police were called when he allegedly attacked a rival's snowman with hot coffee. 10. 2 food truck owners turned their weekly sales competition into psychological warfare, complete with fake Yelp reviews, stolen parking spots, and one memorable incident involving a strategically placed skunk near the competitor's window. The health department eventually intervened when customers started placing bets on their daily battles. 11. The annual dog costume contest at the local park descended into chaos when competitive pet parents started hiring professional seamstresses and spending thousands on elaborate outfits. One woman dressed her chihuahua as a functioning miniature food truck, complete with working lights and a tiny generator. The contest was canceled after accusations of performance-enhancing dog treats. 12. Gary's obsession with winning the neighborhood's Best Lawn Award led him to install a sprinkler system controlled by NASA-grade software and soil sensors that cost more than most people's cars. When his grass measured exactly 2 3/4 inches tall, he called the police on neighbors who walked too close to his property lines. 13. The church potluck became a battleground when Agnes discovered that Dolores was using store-bought pie crusts and claiming they were homemade. Agnes hired a private investigator to follow Dolores to the grocery store, photographed her buying frozen pastry, and presented a 40-page evidence folder to the pastor during Sunday service. 14. 2 ice cream truck drivers turned their daily routes into tactical warfare, using GPS tracking to steal each other's customers and playing their jingles at maximum volume until noise ordinances were violated. One driver actually hired decoys to call the other truck to fake locations while he monopolized the real customers. 15. The elementary school's science fair became so competitive that parents were essentially doing PhD-level research while their 8-year-olds watched cartoons. One dad built a functioning particle accelerator for his daughter's project about atoms. The school now requires notarized statements that children actually participated in their own experiments. 16. The annual Office Weight Loss Challenge turned into a corporate espionage operation when participants started hiring nutritionists, installing hidden cameras to monitor each other's lunch choices, and one woman who created fake social media accounts to sabotage competitors by posting photos of them eating cake at birthday parties. 17. The annual Spelling Bee at Jefferson Elementary turned parents into coaching monsters who hired tutors, created flashcard systems, and one mother who made her son spell words during bathroom breaks. The competition ended when two parents got into a fistfight over whether gray or gray was the correct spelling. 18. Frank's quest to build the ultimate Halloween haunted house led him to study architectural engineering, purchase industrial fog machines, and accidentally traumatize the entire neighborhood. His house was so terrifying that the fire department received 17 calls and 3 teenagers required counseling after visiting his zombie apocalypse basement. 19. The community center's annual cakewalk turned into economic warfare when Betty started bribing participants with homemade cookies to avoid her slot, ensuring she'd win the premium German chocolate cake every single week. Other participants formed an alliance and hired a statistician to calculate optimal bidding strategies. 20. 2 suburban moms turned their kids' lemonade stands into competing corporate enterprises, complete with market research, branded cups, and one mother who hired a teenage marketing consultant. The rivalry ended when both stands were shut down for operating without business licenses and health department permits. 21. The neighborhood's Christmas door decorating contest became so intense that families started hiring interior designers and spending mortgage payments on ornaments. One house featured a synchronized light show programmed by actual Disney engineers, while another installed a snow machine that buried 3 cars and required city snowplows. 22. Sally's dedication to winning the county fair's pie eating contest included a 6-month training regimen involving jaw exercises, stomach stretching techniques, and studying YouTube videos of competitive eaters. She hired a nutritionist and practiced with different pie densities until her husband threatened divorce over the constant smell of blueberries. 23. The Office Fantasy Football League became so serious that participants hired professional analysts, created detailed spreadsheets tracking player injuries, and one guy who took vacation days to attend NFL practices. The league was disbanded after someone attempted to bribe a janitor for inside information about paper cuts affecting players' grip. 24. Martha's obsession with winning the local flower show led her to wake up every 2 hours during the night to check soil moisture levels and whisper encouragement to her roses. She installed a greenhouse climate control system that cost more than her car and once called in sick to work to drive her prized orchid to a plant therapist. 25. The annual cornhole tournament at the county fair escalated when participants started using aerodynamic beanbags, hiring physics professors to calculate optimal throwing angles, and practicing 8 hours daily in custom-built training facilities. The tournament was eventually moved to a different county after noise complaints from professional-grade trash talk. 26. The annual neighborhood cookie decorating contest became so intense that participants were taking online masterclasses from actual Food Network stars, importing royal icing from specialized bakeries, and one mother who hired a food photographer to document her sugar work portfolio. The contest required professional judges after accusations of bias towards store-bought sprinkles. 27. The community garden's tomato growing contest became so competitive that participants started soil testing, hiring botanists, and one woman who played classical music to her plants while massaging their roots with organic fertilizer. The contest ended when someone discovered underground irrigation systems that violated 3 city ordinances. 28. Bob's determination to win the annual chili pepper eating contest led him to build up tolerance by gradually increasing capsaicin levels over 8 months, studying pain management techniques, and practicing meditation to handle the burning sensation. He won but spent 3 days in the hospital and lost all feeling in his tongue. 29. The neighborhood's best decorated mailbox competition turned into an arms race of creativity that included working drawbridges, miniature landscaping, and one mailbox designed to look like a functioning food truck complete with tiny menu boards. The Postal Service eventually intervened when mail delivery became impossible due to elaborate security mechanisms. 30. Karen's quest to win the office desk decorating contest for Christmas led her to hire an interior designer, install battery-powered LED strips, and create a winter wonderland that required its own electrical circuit. Her cube became a tourist attraction until HR banned all decorations taller than the cubicle walls. 31. The annual pumpkin carving contest at the community center became so intense that participants were taking sculpting classes, using power tools, and one dad who spent $600 on professional carving equipment to make a jack-o'-lantern that looked like the Mona Lisa. The fire department banned all electrical carving tools after multiple injuries. 32. Home security cam owners created a raccoon leaderboard. Points for time on porch, bin raid creativity, and eye shine intensity. One guy baited with marshmallows. Neighbors cried foul. Animal control ended the season early. The trophy went to Trash Goblin 7. 33. The church's annual Christmas pageant became a battlefield when mothers started hiring acting coaches for their children, creating elaborate costumes that cost more than wedding dresses, and one woman who attempted to bribe the director with homemade cookies to get her son the starring role as baby Jesus. 34. Frank's obsession with having the best Super Bowl party led him to install a professional-grade sound system, hire a catering company, and transform his basement into a replica stadium complete with artificial turf and goalposts. He spent more on one party than most people spend on vacation and required guests to sign waivers. 35. A flamingo lawn ornament standoff spiraled. One house planted 50 pink birds overnight. The neighbor responded with a flock arranged in precise marching formations. A third introduced a topiary general. HOA finally capped avian density at 10 flamingos per 1,000 square feet. 36. Two coffee shop owners turned their daily customer competition into psychological warfare, hiring baristas away from each other, creating loyalty programs with ridiculous rewards, and one memorable morning when they both offered free coffee until one of them ran out of beans and declared bankruptcy. 37. The community center's annual talent show became so competitive that participants hired professional coaches, rented costumes from Broadway productions, and one 10-year-old whose parents hired a choreographer to create a dance routine that required backup dancers and pyrotechnics. The fire department banned all future special effects. 38. Martha's determination to grow the perfect roses for the garden club competition led her to install a computerized watering system, hire a plant psychologist, and spend her retirement savings on rare soil imported from France. She won first place, but her husband left her for someone who preferred dandelions. 39. The annual sandcastle building contest at the beach turned into an engineering competition when participants started bringing surveying equipment, hiring architects, and using concrete mixers disguised as sand toys. The contest was moved to a different beach after complaints from actual beachgoers who couldn't find space to lay their towels. 40. Two rival farmers' market tents escalated turf wars with free sample ambushes, decoy customers, and a coupon sting operation. One vendor paid a marching band to circle the competitor's booth during peak hours. The market board now assigns spots by lottery with sworn affidavits. 41. Secret Santa became Black Ops procurement. Employees exploited the $25 cap with coupon stacking, rebate loops, and corporate points. One gifted a $300 espresso setup net after promos. Finance audited Christmas. Next year's theme: handmade only, monitored by a no arbitrage clause. 42. Gary's quest to build the ultimate backyard deck for the neighborhood home improvement contest led him to hire structural engineers, install features that required building permits, and create an outdoor living space that was featured in 3 magazines but violated 17 city codes and terrified his insurance company. 43. The annual fishing derby became so serious that participants hired marine biologists to study fish behavior, invested in sonar equipment that cost more than boats, and one guy who spent 2 weeks camping at the lake using night vision goggles to track fish migration patterns before the competition. 44. Two mothers turned their children's Girl Scout cookie sales into a corporate takeover attempt, hiring marketing firms, creating detailed customer databases, and establishing cookie distribution networks that resembled drug cartels. Both mothers were banned from future cookie sales and required anger management counseling. 45. The community theater's auditions for the annual Christmas play became so intense that participants hired acting coaches, created elaborate audition videos, and one woman who legally changed her name to Mary to improve her chances of playing the Virgin Mary in the nativity scene. 46. Bob's determination to win the neighborhood's best Halloween display contest led him to study special effects, install industrial fog machines, and create a haunted yard so terrifying that trick-or-treaters required therapy, and the city council passed an ordinance limiting Halloween decorations to family-friendly themes only. 47. The annual pie contest at the state fair escalated when contestants started hiring food scientists, conducting taste tests on focus groups, and one baker who installed a professional kitchen in her basement specifically for pie development and testing that operated like a research laboratory. 48. The gingerbread showdown hired structural engineers. Someone used rebar-thick caramel beams, another ran sugar glass windows through a dehydrator. A roof sagged, then avalanched into a syrup landslide. The judge disqualified edible epoxy, and the fire marshal banned heat guns from Christmas events. 49. The weekly bingo night at the St. Jude's Community Hall became a hotbed of geriatric rivalry. When Ethel accused Mildred of using a lucky dauber with magnetized chips, Mildred retaliated by accidentally spilling a soda on Ethel's winning card. The priest had to intervene, and now all daubers are provided by the church. 50. Karen's obsession with winning the community center's annual craft fair led her to take welding classes, hire an art consultant, and spend her children's college fund on materials to create sculptures that required engineering degrees to understand and violated several fire safety codes. 51. Linda's mission to dominate the annual pancake breakfast fundraiser involved hiring a former IHOP manager as a consultant, purchasing industrial griddles, and practicing pancake flipping techniques for 3 months. She created a detailed operations manual and assigned family members specific roles with walkie-talkies. The church eventually banned professional-grade equipment after her pancakes put the local diner out of business. 52. The neighborhood's annual Easter egg hunt turned into military-style reconnaissance when parents started scouting locations weeks in advance, creating detailed maps of hiding spots, and timing their children's running speeds. One dad installed GPS trackers in plastic eggs and hired his teenage nephew to distract other kids with candy while his daughter collected the premium prizes. 53. Two competing garage sales on the same street escalated into retail warfare with professional signage, hired security guards to direct traffic, and pricing strategies developed by actual business consultants. The rivalry peaked when both families started selling identical items just to undercut each other's prices by 1 cent. 54. The annual company picnic's three-legged race became so intense that co-workers were attending couples therapy together to improve their coordination and hiring personal trainers to work on synchronized running techniques. One pair practiced 4 hours daily for 2 months and created a detailed strategy manual with backup plans for different weather conditions. 55. Margaret's crusade to win the Best Apple Crisp contest at the Harvest Festival included studying molecular gastronomy, importing apples from 7 different states, and testing 43 cinnamon varieties. She installed a professional kitchen scale that measured ingredients to the milligram and kept detailed notes on oven temperature fluctuations throughout the baking process. 56. The local library's annual book sale competition between volunteer teams became so cutthroat that members were conducting midnight inventory missions, hiding valuable books in secret locations, and one team that hired a rare book appraiser to identify hidden treasures before the sale opened to the public. 57. Frank's determination to create the ultimate Super Bowl party dip led him to study flavor profiles with a food scientist, test 17 different cheese combinations, and build a temperature-controlled serving station that maintained optimal dip consistency throughout the entire game. His basement laboratory rivaled actual restaurants and required health department approval. 58. The elementary school's annual fun run turned into a training camp when parents hired track coaches for their 6-year-olds, designed custom nutrition plans, and created detailed race strategies involving wind resistance calculations and optimal pacing techniques. One mother was banned for attempting to give her son performance supplements disguised as gummy vitamins. 59. The local dog park's annual costume contest escalated when pet owners started hiring animal behaviorists to train their dogs for runway walks, spending thousands on custom outfits made by theatrical costume designers, and one woman who taught her poodle to operate mechanical wings through a complex treat-reward system requiring backup batteries. 60. The annual neighborhood block party's potato salad competition escalated when contestants started growing their own potatoes, studying German potato salad traditions with actual German immigrants, and one woman who flew to Idaho specifically to source the perfect russet varieties from individual farms she researched for 6 months. 61. Sally's quest to dominate the church's annual silent auction involved creating a detailed bidding strategy, recruiting family members as decoy bidders, and studying the spending habits of other parishioners through their social media posts. She maintained spreadsheets tracking everyone's maximum bid potential and hired her accountant to optimize her auction portfolio. 62. The city's recycling purity contest turned zealotry. People bought industrial label removers and blacklights for glue residue. One family got docked for wish cycling a garden hose. They appealed with a PowerPoint. After 3 dumpster dive audits, the mayor dissolved the leaderboard. 63. Backyard weather station fanatics waged a forecast war. They installed duplicate sensors, built Stevenson screens, and accused each other of barometric doping. A cold front proved both wrong. The TV meteorologist roasted the block on air. They now submit a unified neighborhood model. 64. The annual chili cook-off at the fire station became a chemical warfare experiment when contestants started researching capsicum extraction methods, growing their own ghost peppers in climate-controlled environments, and one participant who required hazmat gear to handle his ingredients safely. 3 judges required medical attention, and the contest was moved outdoors permanently. 65. Martha's obsession with winning the Best Christmas Cookies contest led her to attend pastry school in France, install a professional convection oven, and develop a secret recipe that required ingredients imported from 4 different countries. Her kitchen renovation cost more than most people's cars and included a temperature-controlled storage room for premium chocolate. 66. The office ping-pong ladder became HR's nightmare. Paddle inspections, spin rate trackers, and appeals committees for edge balls. One manager tied bonuses to ELO ratings. After 3 grievances and a concussion from a smash, HR banned standings and confiscated the radar gun. 67. 2 competing lemonade stands run by 8-year-olds became multinational corporations when their helicopter parents hired marketing agencies, conducted focus groups on optimal sugar levels, and installed professional point-of-sale systems. Both stands were shut down for violating child labor laws and operating without business licenses. 68. The annual pumpkin carving contest at the community center required engineering degrees when participants started using CAD software to design their jack-o'-lanterns, hiring sculptors as consultants, and installing LED lighting systems that required electrical permits. One pumpkin's power consumption exceeded most households and caused neighborhood blackouts. 69. Bob's determination to host the ultimate backyard barbecue competition led him to build a custom smoker using NASA-grade materials, hire a pitmaster from Kansas City as a consultant, and install weather monitoring equipment to track optimal cooking conditions. His backyard resembled a research facility and required health department inspections before he could serve food. 70. The church potlucks casserole competition became a culinary arms race when participants started hiring food scientists to develop fusion recipes, importing ingredients from specialty distributors, and one woman who patented her green bean casserole recipe and threatened legal action against anyone who used similar ingredients or preparation methods. 71. The holiday inflatables arms race went nuclear. 12-foot Santas, a 20-foot Grinch, and a reindeer synchronized to EDM. One roof collapsed under a snow globe dome. HOA instituted a 1 inflatable per property rule. Neighbors now smuggle elves at night like contraband. 72. Halloween candy diplomacy died when one cul-de-sac started handing out full-size bars with QR codes for loyalty points. Another launched surge pricing at 8 p.m. Parents mapped routes like UPS dispatchers. The PTA declared a truce. Kids formed a secondary trading market. 73. The morning carpool drop-off line at Northwood Elementary became a daily, passive-aggressive demolition derby. Mothers used their SUVs to block rivals, cut into the line a car ahead, and send scathing texts in the parent group chat. The principal eventually had to hire a traffic warden just to manage the parental road rage. 74. The neighborhood's competing Christmas light displays became an electrical engineering competition involving synchronized music, computer programming, and one house that required its own transformer from the power company. The displays were visible from space, caused air traffic confusion, and required city ordinances limiting residential power consumption during December. 75. The annual paper airplane contest at the engineering firm became a NASA-level research project when employees started using wind tunnel testing, hiring aerodynamics consultants, and creating planes from materials requiring security clearance. One airplane's design was so advanced it accidentally violated international aviation regulations and attracted attention from the Federal Aviation Administration. 76. Drone light show neighbors tried to out-choreograph each other's Christmas displays. Waypoints, flight stacks, and FAA waivers piled up. A mid-air snowflake collision rained propellers on the block. The city limited drone swarms to 5. Both families pivoted to laser projectors. 77. The annual spelling bee at the retirement home became warfare when 70-year-olds started hiring memory coaches, creating flashcard systems for medical terminology, and one gentleman who installed a teleprompter in his reading glasses to cheat during the final round. The competition was canceled after accusations of performance-enhancing vitamins. 78. Two dads in a cul-de-sac started a silent war over who had the most organized garage. It began with one installing a new shelving system. The other responded with a professional epoxy floor. The war peaked when one hired a garage consultant, and the other left his garage door open all weekend just to show off his wall-mounted tool display. 79. The neighborhood pickleball feud mutated into a decibel war. People bought sound meters, hired acoustical engineers, and built plywood noise shields. One guy wore a GoPro to document illegal grunting. The city finally banned evening play and impounded 3 homemade decibel cannons after 10 p.m. 80. The local dog park devolved into a proxy war between 2 owners obsessed with their golden retrievers. They competed over who had the best fetch skills, bringing professional ball launchers and stopwatches. The feud culminated in one owner accusing the other of using performance-enhancing kibble to gain an unfair athletic advantage. 81. The annual 4th of July parade float competition between 2 local hardware stores escalated into corporate warfare. What started as simple decorated trucks became a race involving pyrotechnics, hired marching bands, and a float so large it took out a traffic light. The city now enforces a strict size and budget limit on all entries. 82. The annual bake sale at the high school became a pastry competition, rivaling professional bakeries when parents started attending culinary school, importing ingredients from Europe, and hiring food photographers to document their creations. The sale generated more revenue than most small businesses and required sales tax permits. 83. 2 competing garden clubs turned flower arranging into biochemical warfare, involving growth hormones, hiring horticulturists from botanical gardens, and creating displays that required structural engineering to support their elaborate designs. Both clubs were eventually banned from using fertilizers that required hazardous materials handling certifications. 84. The Office March Madness bracket became a statistical analysis project involving hiring sports data scientists, creating computer models that predicted game outcomes with greater accuracy than Vegas odds, and one employee who took a leave of absence to personally attend games for first-hand scouting reports. 85. The Sourdough Guild split over starter lineage. People bragged like crypto bros about 1890s yeast strains. A lab test revealed 2 starters were identical supermarket yeast. The scandal was dubbed Loafgate. New rules require blind bakes and neutral flour to stop flavor laundering. 86. The Neighborhood Block Party's annual volleyball tournament became an Olympic-level training camp when participants hired professional coaches, installed regulation sand courts in their backyards, and created training regimens involving sports psychologists and nutritional consultants. The tournament required liability insurance and professional referees. 87. Two food bloggers competing for restaurant influence turned reviewing into a full-scale media war involving fake social media accounts, hiring professional photographers for food shoots, and creating review schedules coordinated like military operations. Both bloggers eventually required restraining orders and court-mandated social media restrictions. 88. The church's annual Christmas pageant became a theatrical production requiring auditions, hiring costume designers from local theater companies, and installing professional lighting systems that required electrical permits. The pageant's budget exceeded most community theater productions and required advanced ticket sales to cover costs. 89. Martha's quest to create the ultimate tailgate party for her son's high school football games involved hiring catering consultants, installing a custom outdoor kitchen in her SUV, and creating menu planning spreadsheets that tracked nutritional content and weather-appropriate food temperatures. Her tailgate setup required its own parking space and city permits. 90. The annual company picnic's horseshoe tournament escalated when participants started training with professional pitching coaches, installing regulation courts in their backyards, and studying physics calculations for optimal throwing angles. The tournament required professional judges and insurance coverage after several injury incidents involving overzealous celebrations. 91. The HOA trash can placement war got surgical. Residents measured wheel distance from curb with laser levels. One filed violations for lids pointing aesthetically incorrect. A retired judge drafted bin orientation guidelines. Sanitation workers started flipping lids at random out of spite. 92. The local library's annual poetry contest became a literary battlefield when participants started hiring professional editors, attending graduate-level poetry workshops, and one contestant who hired a team of literary critics to analyze the judge's previous preferences. The contest required anonymized submissions after accusations of bias and preferential treatment. 93. Bob's determination to win the neighborhood's best Halloween costume contest led him to hire theatrical costume designers, attend special effects makeup classes, and create costumes requiring engineering degrees to operate safely. His costume budget exceeded most wedding expenses and required liability waivers for anyone who interacted with his robotic accessories. 94. The annual school fundraiser's silent auction became a strategic warfare operation when parents started hiring professional auctioneers as consultants, creating bidding alliances with other families, and developing mathematical models to predict optimal bidding strategies. The auction required security guards after incidents involving aggressive bidding tactics. 95. The annual company picnic's watermelon seed spitting contest became an athletic competition when participants started training with breathing coaches, studying projectile physics, and practicing with regulation watermelons shipped from specific farms known for optimal seed density. One contestant's training regimen included dental work to improve aerodynamics and required sports medicine consultation. 96. The community center's annual craft fair became an art exhibition requiring professional display systems, hiring gallery consultants to optimize booth layouts, and creating judging criteria more complex than actual art competitions. The fair's entry requirements rivaled museum exhibitions and required insurance coverage for valuable handmade items. 97. Karen's mission to dominate the office holiday party planning committee involved hiring event coordinators, creating detailed project management systems, and developing party themes requiring construction permits and fire safety inspections. Her party planning budget exceeded most weddings and required approval from 3 different department heads. 98. The neighborhood's annual yard sale competition escalated when participants hired professional appraisers, creating inventory systems rivaling retail stores, and installing payment processing systems accepting credit cards and digital transactions. Both sales required business licenses and sales tax permits after generating revenue exceeding small business thresholds. 99. A 45-minute standoff occurred in a crowded mall parking lot during Christmas week between two minivan drivers over a single parking spot. Both refused to yield, leading to a duel of angry glares, passive-aggressive inching forward, and a line of backed-up traffic until mall security was forced to declare a winner. 100. A home-brewing beer competition between two neighbors, Chad and Kyle, turned into a scientific arms race. They started analyzing water pH levels, importing rare hops from New Zealand, and accusing each other of yeast espionage. The rivalry ended when Chad's experimental fermentation tank exploded, coating Kyle's prize-winning roses in artisanal IPA. 101. The final petty competition that broke America was when two suburban moms turned their kids' participation trophy debate into a federal lawsuit involving constitutional lawyers, hiring child psychology experts to testify about self-esteem impacts, and creating a legal precedent that required congressional hearings about the psychological effects of competitive parenting on national childhood development standards. 101 stories later, the evidence is undeniable. Sanity is optional when bragging rights are on the line. Now, be brutally honest in the comments. Which of these stories hits a little too close to home? Don't lie, we all know someone like this. Or we are someone like this. Hit that like button if you've ever been personally victimized by a neighbor's Christmas lights, and subscribe for more proof that humanity is gloriously unhinged.